What's going on, everybody? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with a quick recap. Floyd Schofield beats Renee Horon, who goes to the decision. All right, and pretty tough fight for Floyd. All right, this is a 12 rounder, first 12 rounder in his career, and he got dropped. First time getting dropped. He got dropped in the 11th round, and he still won a unanimous decision. But he got buzzed in the fight. He had a tough fight. Tough fight. It happens. He's 22 years old. He's still undefeated. I don't see much of a problem. I think all the criticisms he's getting is because of who he's been calling out the last couple of years, calling out Tank, calling out Keyshawn Davis, and some of the other guys at the top of the 135 division. So I think it comes with that. You talk shit, people are going to attack you as soon as you don't look good. Say that you're not on a level of anyone that's at the top of the division. It's part of the game. What we got to remember is that he's 22 years old, and I think he's pretty good for the fact that where he's at. Really just get more fights in. I think these tough fights make you a better fighter. Because if you keep going on in your career, just getting early, quick knockouts without facing some kind of toughness in the fight, these you're not gonna get better. You know, so overall, I think, there's definitely some flaws that he needs to work on. I think that he still lunges at times. Sometimes he can be, overcommitted to, some of his shots and leave himself open. So there's some defensive flaws there. I think when he exits, when he starts exchanging sometimes and he exits, his hands are down. Sometimes he's not really concerned about what could be thrown back at him. And that's pretty much why he gets caught. But he throws good combinations. He's very explosive. He has some good power, good speed. You know what I mean? A lot of people are comparing him to Sean Porter. I think that is a decent comparison, to be honest. I don't think it's a bad comparison at all. And because he's kind of wild, all right. But whatever this fighter he decides to be, I see that he switches pretty good, and he can box. But whatever type of fighter he ends up being, and I guess they got to figure that out, because if you're going to be a boxer or you're going to be an aggressive fighter, you know what I mean? He can counter good. I don't know what kind of fighter he's going to become, but being that he's young and he's pretty aggressive and he's a bigger guy at lightweight and he's going to continue to grow, I think he should be aggressive. I just think he needs to work on the defense. And if he is going to continue being aggressive, I don't know where his chin is at. I think that's the only question I really have here is, does he have a good chin? Renee has a decent KO ratio. I looked him up maybe the day before the fight just to see like if this was a guy that can possibly pull off the upset. I thought Floyd was in control of most of the fight. I like the switching. I like his counters. I like his combinations. I think overall he did a good job. I just think he got caught a couple times, and it is what it is. It's part of the game, especially as you step up. Do I think he's on a level as the top guys like Tank or Shakur or, some of the other guys there? I don't know. But I was always cool with the Keyshawn Davis fight, because I don't think Keyshawn has fought anyone that's really better than Renee Haran. So Keyshawn, by the way, Keyshawn has a very tough fight this weekend, and I have to do a breakdown for that. I already started doing my film study for that fight. Very tough fight for Keyshawn this weekend. Dangerous fight, very dangerous fight, and so he has a tough one coming to him this weekend. But again, these fighters have not fought like some of the very best yet, and I'm not rushing for them to do it. And I think Floyd being 22, get some more fights in, you know. Another thing, I don't have a problem with him calling out the top guys, getting his name out there. This is a social media era, you know, to get people to watch you. If they see your name, connected in any way against a Tank Davis or a Shakur or even a Keyshawn, that's not a bad thing. If you're doing these interviews and you're bringing up these fighters and you're bringing up sparring, that's what the fighters do now. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing to do it. Because if you stay quiet and you stay humble, no one's gonna pay attention to you. That's just the times that we in. I hate to say it, but if you try to be the nice, friendly, humble guy, no one's gonna pay you any mind. Let's be real. You calling out people, you going on social media, you doing interviews with your dad, and you're calling out people. That's what's gonna get the people to talk about you and pay attention to you. Because now that you called those guys out, people are watching you to see if you can compare to them. And that's just the way, that's the times we are. Being humble and being cool will never be enough. Look at Bud Crawford. I mean, he just started getting the world to talk about, the boxing world to talk about him after beating Spence. I mean, people were paying attention. The diehards, yeah, people knew who he was. But as soon as he started doing more interviews and still going to more events and see him, you see him his face all the time. You're doing interviews with him all the time now. Before, you couldn't get an interview from Crawford unless he was the week of the fight. This is where we are now, and you got to take advantage of the free promotion online. One thing I want to add as well, boxing dads. This is one thing that I've had an issue with over the years of covering boxing. I love these dads in the sense that they were in these fighters' lives leading up to, they got them here, they got them at a top contender level or championship level. Sometimes the parents get a little too involved. I've seen interviews with Floyd and his dad, and it seems his dad takes over the interviews. Floyd doesn't really say much. His dad is arguing with people, talking trash to the fighters. At the end of the day, Floyd's the one that's getting in there. And I've said this about the fighters as well, and again, some of these dads I do like and I appreciate and I respect, Kenny Porter's, the Robert Guerrero's father, Teofimo Lopez's father. A lot of these guys, a lot of these fathers get involved. Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney. Some of them I do respect. Some of them I like. But there's sometimes where they have to take a step back. And sometimes they get a little too engaged and involved in these fights. And not just from like the level of speaking and doing interviews and getting involved in the trash talking and stuff. I'm talking about from a training standpoint. How far can you take your son, without bringing somebody else in the camp that has a little bit more experience in training? You could only get them so far. Sometimes it's good to bring other people in. So Floyd, as he continues to develop as a fighter, needs to work on the defense. Again, being that aggressive, comparing him to Sean Porter. Like Sean Porter had a hell of a chin. You know what I mean? One thing about him, he had a hell of a chin, and whenever he got caught with a good shot, he recovered very, very well. Floyd getting dropped this early, getting buzzed in this kind of fight. That's the only thing I really question. But I want to see more of him. And I just want to see him in more fights, and slowly 17-0 or 18-0 now. I don't want him. I know his dad was screaming out in the crowd, like, stop trying to knock him out. Maybe that's part of the problem, but he's a very aggressive fighter. So it is what it is. He's going to be like that, especially at 22. I'd rather him fight aggressively than fight like a money Mayweather early in the years, like a lot of these fighters are doing now, with this shoulder roll, Philly shell crap they're doing. Like, I want them to fight. So overall, I have no complaints. Again, there's some defensive flaws with the lunging and, not keeping his hands up. But he throws good counters, man. He throws good counters. He has good speed. I like the combinations. I like what he does. He's a fun fighter to watch. But he has to be careful because he's going to be fighting bigger punchers that have better timing than this guy, Renee. Good boxer, just didn't have the reach, didn't have the jab, didn't have the firepower to, compete with Floyd for 12 rounds. But he landed a few good counters in there. He made it a good fight. You know what I mean? So, I just want to see more. but I like what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ready for the top tier, but I don't think he's that far off from getting there. You know what I mean? But I think he do need some good fights on the come up, and let's get into the mix of consistently fighting. Maybe let's get some top 20 guys in there now. You know what I mean? Let's get some top 20 guys, or guys that maybe were former champions that are past it, and those are kind of fights we need right now. But I wouldn't go too far. I think he needs a few more fights before we even get him in there with a title holder at 135, in my opinion. A lot of these guys that are holding titles are not even fighting each other. So he has time. He's 22 years old. It's really not that big of a deal. All right, so that's my assessment on Floyd. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, share the video, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Peace.